The less you care, the more you win. Here's why. Imagine you're gripping a handful of sand as tightly as possible. The harder you squeeze, the more the grains slip between your fingers. But if you relax your palm, the sand simply rests there, effortlessly. This is how life works. The more we try to control everything, success, relationships, reputation, the more it eludes us. The more we obsess over results, the more desperate we become, and that desperation pushes what we want even further away. Taoism, one of the oldest and wisest philosophies in history, teaches a profound truth: the less you care, the more you win. That doesn't mean apathy or laziness. It means detachment from the illusion of control, from the anxiety of outcomes, from the unnecessary weight we carry when we take life too seriously. We've been conditioned to believe that success comes from relentless effort, that happiness is the result of constant striving, that if we're not stressing over something, we're not truly invested. But look around. Are the most anxious people the happiest? Are the most controlling people the most successful? Or do they burn out, sabotage themselves, and push away the very things they desire? Taoism introduces us to the concept of Wu Wei, the art of effortless action. It's the idea that the best way to move forward is not through force, but through flow. Think about a river. It does not struggle to reach the ocean. It follows the path of least resistance, adapting to obstacles rather than fighting them. And yet, it gets there always. Now, compare that to how we live. We resist, we stress, we fight reality instead of moving with it. And that resistance is what creates suffering.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more topics you love.
Most people live under the illusion that if they just tried harder, controlled more, micromanaged every detail, they would finally achieve peace. But peace is not something you attain through effort. It is something that arises naturally when you stop resisting life. The less you grip, the more things fall into place. Have you ever noticed that the best moments happen when you're not trying? The best conversations, the best relationships, the best creative ideas, they come when you're relaxed, open, present. The moment you start forcing them, they lose their magic. This is why people who desperately seek love often struggle to find it. People who obsess over success often fail. People who try too hard to be liked often come across as inauthentic. The more you chase something, the more you create the energy of lack, the message that you don't already have it, and that energy pushes it away. But this is where people get confused. They think, so, are you saying I should just sit around and do nothing? Not at all. Taoism doesn't teach laziness. It teaches alignment. It means doing the right things at the right time without forcing. It means putting in effort, but without attachment to the outcome. It means showing up, but not obsessing over results. It means trusting that things will unfold as they should, without needing to control every step. And ironically, this approach makes you more effective. When you're not weighed down by stress, you think more clearly. When you're not paralyzed by fear of failure, you take bolder actions. When you don't desperately need something to happen, you operate from a place of strength instead of weakness. And that strength makes you magnetic. So ask yourself, what are you gripping too tightly in your life? What would happen if you loosened your grip, if you trusted the flow, if you stopped taking everything so seriously? What if the very thing you're chasing is actually being blocked by your own resistance? Because maybe, just maybe, the less you care, the more life starts working in your favor. The paradox of effort, why trying too hard backfires. We've been told all our lives that effort equals results. That if we just try harder, push more, grind longer, we will eventually get what we want. But what if this is only half the truth? What if there is a point where effort stops being productive and starts becoming destructive? What if trying too hard is actually what's holding us back? This is the paradox of effort. The more desperately we chase something, the more we push it away. And this isn't just philosophy, it's observable in every area of life. Think about confidence. The person who tries too hard to impress others comes across as insecure. The one who forces conversation, who carefully crafts every word, who constantly seeks validation, ends up repelling the very attention they crave. But the person who is at ease, who speaks freely, who doesn't care so much about being liked ironically, they attract people effortlessly. The same applies to success. The entrepreneur who is obsessed with making money, who focuses only on profit, often burns out, makes desperate decisions, and struggles to build something meaningful. But the one who is passionate about their work, who enjoys the process, who isn't constantly stressing about outcomes, somehow the money follows them. This is why Taoism teaches the principle of Wu Wei, or effortless action. It's not about doing nothing, it's about doing the right things in the right state of mind. It's about understanding that force creates resistance. Imagine trying to fall asleep by forcing yourself to sleep. The more you try, the more awake you become. But if you relax, if you let go, sleep comes naturally. The same is true for creativity. If you try to force a brilliant idea, your mind freezes. But when you step away, when you go for a walk, when you relax, the idea suddenly appears. Relationships, success, happiness, these things work the same way. The more we grip, the more they slip through our fingers. But here's where it gets tricky. We live in a world that rewards effort. Hustle culture tells us that if we're not struggling, we're not doing enough. We glorify overwork, stress, and exhaustion as if they are badges of honor. And yet, some of the most successful people in history were not the ones who forced their way to the top, but the ones who moved with intelligence, flow, and ease. Bruce Lee, one of the greatest martial artists of all time, embodied this philosophy. He taught that a rigid fighter is weak, that true power comes from adaptability, from being like water, fluid, responsive, effortless. He didn't mean that we should be passive, but that we should act without strain. So how do we apply this? It starts with understanding that effort should feel aligned, not forced. Effort should come from a place of inspiration, not desperation. When you're forcing something, a relationship, a career move, a personal goal, you can feel the tension, the resistance. It feels like a struggle. But when something is aligned, even hard work feels right. It feels like flow. That doesn't mean everything is always easy, but it means that you're not fighting reality, you're moving with it. And paradoxically, this makes you more effective, more productive, and more likely to succeed. Think about the areas of your life where you're trying too hard. Where are you gripping too tightly? Where are you forcing something that isn't flowing naturally? What if, instead of pushing harder, you stepped back, reassessed, and allowed things to unfold in their own time? Because maybe, just maybe, the key to getting what you want is not in trying harder, but in trying smarter. The illusion of control while letting go is the ultimate power. We spend our entire lives trying to control things, our careers, our relationships, our emotions, even the way others perceive us. We plan meticulously, we strategize every move, we hold on to expectations as if they are guarantees. But deep down, we know the truth: control is an illusion. No matter how much we try to dictate outcomes, life always has its own plans. And yet, we resist this reality. We cling to the idea that if we just try hard enough, if we just micromanage every detail, we can force life to go exactly as we want. But what does this really bring us? Peace? No, it brings anxiety, stress, and frustration. Because control is exhausting. It puts us in a constant battle with life, a battle we can never truly win. The irony is, the more we try to control things, the more out of control we feel. Think about it: when you obsess over making everything perfect, does it actually bring you peace? When you try to control how someone feels about you, does it make them love you more, or does it push them away? When you fear failure so much that you try to predict every possible mistake, does it make you more confident or more paralyzed? Control is like holding onto water with a clenched fist. The tighter you grip, the faster it slips through your fingers. But if you loosen your hand, the water simply rests there. This is what Taoism teaches us: true power comes not from force, but from flow. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It does not mean being passive. It means understanding what is within your control and what is not. It means focusing your energy on what you can do while releasing attachment to the outcome. You can put in effort, but you cannot guarantee results. You can love someone, but you cannot control how they feel. You can prepare, but you cannot predict the future. When you understand this, you stop wasting energy on things that are beyond you. You stop stressing over every little uncertainty. You stop living in fear of the unknown. Instead, you embrace it. You trust that life will unfold as it should. And paradoxically, this makes you stronger, not weaker. Think about the most resilient people you know. Are they the ones who try to control everything? Or are they the ones who adapt, who embrace change, who move with life rather than against it? Strength is not about control. Strength is about trust. Trust in yourself, trust in the process, trust in the wisdom of letting go. When you stop trying to force everything into place, you create space for better things to come. You stop chasing, and suddenly, life starts working in your favor. Opportunities arise. Relationships become easier. Creativity flows naturally. Everything feels lighter because you are no longer carrying the burden of control. So ask yourself, what are you holding on to that is only causing you stress? What would happen if you let go, if you trusted, if you allowed things to unfold without resistance? What if the very thing you are afraid of losing is only weighing you down? Because maybe, just maybe, the ultimate power is not in controlling life, but in trusting it. The effortless path to success: why flow beats force every time we've been raised to believe that success is a battle. That if we're not struggling, fighting, grinding every second, we are falling behind. That the only way to win is through sheer force, forcing opportunities, forcing relationships, forcing ourselves to fit into molds that don't even feel natural. But what if this entire mindset is flawed? What if success, true success, comes not from force, but from flow? What if the people who seem to achieve the most effortlessly have simply unlocked a different way of moving through life? This is the core of Taoist wisdom: the understanding that nature does not struggle, yet everything gets accomplished. The river does not fight to reach the ocean. The tree does not resist the wind, and yet everything happens exactly as it should. The same principle applies to us, but we have been conditioned to resist it. Think about the moments in your life when things just worked. The times when opportunities appeared at exactly the right moment, when relationships unfolded naturally, when creativity flowed effortlessly. Did those moments happen because you forced them into existence? Or did they happen when you were in a state of openness, alignment, ease? The greatest athletes speak of being in the zone. The best artists describe creative flow as something that moves through them, not something they control. The most successful entrepreneurs talk about how their biggest breakthroughs came not from relentless struggle, but from clarity, from seeing opportunities others were too stressed to notice. The common thread here is simple: flow beats force, every time. But flow does not mean inaction. It does not mean sitting back and expecting life to hand you everything. It means acting without resistance. It means doing the work, but without the tension of desperation. It means pursuing goals, but without the anxiety of needing a specific outcome. It means trusting that the right things will come at the right time, and because of that trust, you move with lightness instead of fear. This is why people who are passionate about what they do tend to be more successful. Their energy is different. They are not forcing, they are flowing. They are not constantly second-guessing, overthinking, stressing about whether or not they will succeed. They are simply immersed in the process, and because of that, they naturally attract success. The problem is, most people never allow themselves to experience this. They are too busy forcing things that aren't meant for them. They chase jobs they don't even like, relationships that drain them, lifestyles that don't align with who they really are. And then they wonder why everything feels like a struggle. But struggle is not a sign that you're working hard. Struggle is often a sign that you are working against yourself, against your natural strengths, against your real desires, against the flow of where life is trying to take you. So what's the alternative? Simplicity, alignment, listening instead of forcing, learning to recognize when something is not working, not so you can push harder, but so you can step back and reassess. Understanding that success is not about controlling every detail, but about creating space for the right things to unfold. It's about taking action, yes, but with trust rather than fear. And paradoxically, when you stop forcing everything, you become unstoppable. You become the person who walks into a room with confidence, not because they are trying to impress, but because they don't need to. You become the person who attracts opportunities, not because they are chasing, but because they are moving in a way that is naturally magnetic. You become the person who succeeds, not because they are in a constant battle with life, but because they have learned to move with it. So ask yourself, where in your life are you forcing something that isn't flowing? What would happen if you stopped pushing and started trusting? What if success, happiness, and fulfillment were not things you had to fight for, but things that come naturally when you move with the current rather than against it? Because maybe, just maybe, the less you force, the more life gives you exactly what you need.